Moreover, the former FDA official says the government should know what role it will play in the private sector's vaccination initiatives. He reiterated that emergency use authorization isn't equal to authorized commercial use, so all shots should still be coursed through official government channels.
Ang tanong, kung si gobyerno pa din nangahawak, sino magbabakuna sa kanila? Si gobyerno din ba o mag-a-allot sila ng mga specific hospitals para, kasi hindi naman pwede yung doktor ng kumpanya nila o yung nurse doon sa kuan ang magbibigay ng bakuna. Kasi sablay yan sabog-sabog yung programa natin pagdating ng ganon. Kasi kailangan nakalista lahat ng mga nababakunahan. To me, personal to, it is important that we have a registry of names for patients that get immunized.
The World Health Organization assures countries that manufacturers are working non-stop to plug the gaps in vaccine supply. WHO's Europe Director Hans Kluge admits that there is indeed a shortage of vaccines across the European Union. Kluge stressed that governments and manufacturers must work together to address teething problems in the vaccine rollout. The official also called for countries' patience in receiving vaccine supplies. EU members are currently far behind the UK, Israel, and the US in dispensing vaccines.
Solidarity does not necessarily mean that each country in the world starts exactly at the same moment. I would remain confident that a delay which we're seeing now is going to be made up by extra production in the near future.
Here are other vaccine developments we're watching around the world. Novavax says a clinical trial conducted in the UK yielded an 89.3% effectiveness rate for its vaccine. Furthermore, preliminary analysis found the shots to be nearly as effective in protecting recipients against the more contagious variant first discovered in the UK. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says their regulators will now assess the vaccine. If approved, Johnson says they will order 60 million doses. Morocco has rolled out its national coronavirus vaccination campaign on Thursday after receiving vaccine shipments from AstraZeneca and Sinopharm. Inaugurating the campaign, King Mohammed was given the vaccine at his palace. Morocco has received 2 million doses of AstraZeneca, 500,000 doses of Sinopharm. The palace said vaccinations will be available to all Moroccans over the age of 17. Health, security, and teaching staff will receive the first shots. And UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres received his first vaccine dose yesterday. The UN official said that he felt, quote, very grateful and urged everyone to get vaccinated as soon as they can. Meanwhile, US Vice President Kamala Harris completed her vaccine cycle after receiving a second dose of Moderna's COVID shot at the National Institute of Health in Maryland. We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Several bus drivers were apprehended in Manila for using a part of the Bonifacio Shrine as a transport terminal. But the drivers insist that the local government allows them to do this. To give us the latest updates from the ground, we have Justine Punsalang. She's reporting to us live from Manila. Justine, good morning. What exactly happened here?
Charles, for 3 consecutive days, the Interagency Council for IACT has been relentless in apprehending colorum vehicles and traffic violators. This morning, they focused their efforts in making sure that there are no buses operating out of line. According to IACT team leader, retired Colonel Jose Manuel Bonneville, that PITX management sent them a complaint about buses cutting trips. Instead of coming straight to PITX, some buses were utilizing the space around the Andres Bonifacio Shrine in Loton, Manila as their terminal. Bonneville said this is a clear violation of the buses' routes. But when authorities inspected the documents of the buses in Loton, they learned that operators have been issued special permits to shorten their route just up to Loton. Still, the bus drivers were slapped with tickets because the area of Bonifacio Shrine is not allowed to be used as a terminal. One driver argued that the local government of Manila gave them permission to use the area as a terminal, but an on-duty Manila Traffic and Parking Bureau enforcer clarified that no such permit was issued. He clarified that drivers can pick up passengers as they pass by, but they cannot stop and wait for passengers to fill their buses. The IACT also noticed that some buses and even jeepneys took in passengers who were not wearing face shields. They were later on allowed to leave the area, but not before getting traffic citations and having the passengers buy and wear face shields. Charles, in today's operation, the IACT operatives flagged down motorcycles who are not wearing proper attire for riding. The common violation is the wearing of non-full face helmet. Meanwhile, one bus escaped inspection by fleeing the scene but leaving his conductor behind. And this conductor's driver's license was confiscated. The IACT gave this conductor an ultimatum: have his driver return and face his violation, or the driver's license of the conductor will be revoked. Charles?
All right, thank you. Justine Punsalang reporting live from Manila. Filipino Americans admit that the United States is still deeply divided a week into the presidency of Joe Biden. In an interview with One News's The Chiefs, former White House official Irene Bueno emphasized the importance of unity amid the many issues that America is currently facing. But Bueno remains hopeful that the Biden administration can help the country move forward and bridge the divide.
We are facing so many challenges, and without a united front, a united country, we will not be able to address these challenges.
Meanwhile, U.S. Civil Rights Officer and PWD advocate Oli Cantos complimented the Biden team for being one of the most diverse administrations to ever exist in the U.S.
It is not a matter of being colorblind. It's more a matter of looking at the reality of how there are people who are qualified from all backgrounds, regardless of color, religion, sexual orientation, disability, etc. But it's rather saying that in looking like America, the leaders who are part of the administration have to be a part of America in terms of being from every different segment of society, which then allows there to be the kind of representation of viewpoint and perspective that actually makes government stronger and makes the country stronger as a whole.
FIBA action continues in Qatar as Gilas Pilipinas will be playing in Doha for the final window of the FIBA Asia Cup Qualifiers. The Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas confirms that the Qatar Basketball Federation took over the hosting of the remaining Group A games in February. This comes after the SBP called off the Philippines' hosting of Groups A and C in Clark, Pampanga due to the threat of the new COVID-19 strain. SBP President Al Panlilio says the remaining games in Doha will be played within the same time frame. But he notes that the final schedule could still be adjusted as Qatar is now hosting 12 teams from the original 4. Despite this development, Panlilio says the Gilas team did not slow down in its preparations for the remaining games. SBP is confident that our national team will step up their performance to another gear. The unprecedented surge of GameStop shares is taking the financial market by storm. Gamers took on Wall Street investors, coordinating online through Reddit to push shares of the struggling gaming retail shop over the past week. But is this rally sustainable or just a bubble waiting to pop? Bloomberg market analysts give their take.
The hedge funds had every right to be short of GameStop. but they should have noted the fact that there was more shares of GameStop shorted than existed in the free market.
A lot of the hedge funds were relying on data sources that they were gathering themselves, they were paying for, or potentially even accessing from retail sort of platforms such as Robinhood. When that dries up, they've got to go to other sources, and you've got the wisdom of the crowd.
It's really been the printing of money by the central bank and the distribution by the government that's financed a lot of the activity.
Adding to a losing trade is what caused them to have these egregious problems that are going to demand the government step in and do something.
The fact that retail investors are going to be able to communicate with one another, that they can actually consolidate their buying power in such a way and provide research data points for these larger institutional investors is something I don't think the regulators would have anticipated even 3 years ago, let alone 20 years ago.
It just reflects the liquidity that exists and the new players in the markets. You know, historically, it's indicative of a bubble type environment, but, you know, it could go for a long time.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. We are One News.